Hi guys, how are you doing today? Hope you are having an amazing day. Ready for some new drama from Askalawyer? Let's go to the first one, about OP's relationship with his parents and golden child sister, who decided to go see a therapist with OP, which resulted in OP reporting the therapist. Listen to the story, guys, to find out why OP reported the therapist, and of course to hear my insights. Enjoy the stories, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. I'm the older sibling, clocking in at 25, and my sister's 20. Our family dynamic has always been, well, complicated. My parents have been together for a long time, and they always wanted a daughter, even before I was born. When I came along, they were a bit bummed out, but not too disappointed. They kept trying for another child and faced some conception troubles, even seeking help from a clinic. Eventually, they succeeded and were overjoyed when they found out it was a girl. They told me to be a good role model and keep her safe, which made me happy as a 5-year-old. However, things changed after my sister was born. My relationship with my parents shifted dramatically. I felt sidelined, almost like I didn't matter anymore. I didn't get birthday celebrations, gifts, or a close connection with my parents. They said they had to focus on my younger sister because she was little, and I needed to understand that. Growing up, my parents treated my sister and me totally differently. They made me get a job at 14 to help with bills and rent, while my sister didn't have to. I never got the same treatment as her. She got new stuff, and I had to work for everything with my part-time job, even though I had to give half of my earnings to my parents. My sister was the favorite, and we never got along well. When I turned 18, I worked hard and got into medical school, but my parents said they couldn't afford to help me out, which really annoyed me. I decided to go anyway and worked my butt off to pay for everything. Despite the challenges, I finished my degree and started my residency. My sister just finished high school and got into this pricey private college, living on her own with our parents' full support. I've kinda made peace with their favoritism, keeping my distance since I barely see them, living in a different city and all. So when I visited recently, my sister shocked me by suggesting we go to therapy together. I thought it might help us patch things up, but the therapist ended up blaming me for all my sister's issues, saying I needed to step back for her mental health. I got seriously pissed, confronted the therapist, and, of course, my sister and parents took her side, leaving me fuming. Since I believe what the therapist did was unethical, I filed a complaint against her, thinking it was the right thing to do. Turns out, it's not as anonymous as I thought, and now my parents are begging me to withdraw it, claiming it'll hurt the person who was apparently helping their princess. I had enough and hightailed it out of there, driving 6 hours back to my place, still seething and feeling like I could have handled the whole mess better. Now, I can't say I'm not feeling like crap. I hate this situation, and while I don't feel like all I did was undeserving, maybe I should have handled it differently. So, am I the a-hole? Incompetent therapists take a bad situation and make it terrible. He or she also was not doing the sister any favors by reinforcing the notion that she can't do anything wrong, set in place by her parents. I think the complaint was definitely warranted. Therapy should be unbiased. That honestly sounds like a setup, or they were paid to coddle OP's sister. Super weird. At least OP found a level of success and independence away from them. I would suggest OP goes no contact. And now let's see if the community agrees with me. Weekly Bumblebee says, "This seems so very odd. Can you share any specifics on why the therapist thought you were responsible for the princess's problems?" OP says, "Sure. She claims she compares herself too much with me, which affects her mental health greatly, giving her anxiety among other problems." Stardust Shina says, "Not the a-hole. You were right to report the therapist. That was out of line, and any therapist who actually encourages unhealthy relationships shouldn't be in the field at all. Please don't withdraw it, because if they did it to you, then they probably did it to someone who can't or won't stand up to them." Nez182 says, "Not the a-hole. Reports are for filing on suspect of unethical actions of therapist. You should have done that if you felt it's unfair for you. Also, your parents are solid a-holes for treating two children differently. You did nothing wrong." I, 38 male, and my wife, 36 female, were married for 7 years, and I had 2 kids, 3 male and 4 female, both of whom I thought were mine. We had an amazing relationship, and she was the love of my life. My wife is a stay-at-home mom, and she's been so ever since we had our daughter. She was a real support for most of it, looked after the house and kids well. I worked in IT and moved to cybersecurity about 3 years ago and developed a keen interest in secure communication tools. My research led me to burner phone applications, and I noticed that one had the ability to be disguised as a news app. It took me a while, but I realized that I'd seen this on my wife's phone. One day, when she's in the bathroom, my curiosity gets the better of me, and I open the app. I guess her password easily, as she uses the same one, or a variation of it everywhere. I see text with multiple people going back years, flirty texts and plans to meet up with different guys, across the time we've been together. And this felt like a punch in the gut. I've never felt so hurt and betrayed. I eventually confront her, and first, there's crying and begging for my forgiveness. But I tell her I need some alone time. I stay in the guest bedroom for about a week to get my head straight, and I force a paternity test, promising I'll stay with her if the kids were mine. But of course, they weren't. This hurts so much more, as I felt like I lost my family altogether at this point. I tell her I want a divorce, and she moves out to her parents' house. After a long, drawn-out battle, the judge still insists I support her and her kids, as it's decided to be in their best interest. I swear to myself that I would never comply with this and make a plan. I decide that I will use my foreign citizenship to my advantage and apply for citizenship in a country I know will be outside the reach of the U.S. government. I promise to comply with the order, giving her a few payments until I'm ready. I slowly begin liquidating my assets, selling my house, and moving my money to my new home country. I send her a final letter telling her I will no longer be making payments. She, of course, calls me an a-hole and threatens to go to the police. I block her on all forms of communication. Her parents and friends start a smear campaign on Facebook, and I'm forced to leave Facebook. I still have a few friends I'm close to and my family, but I cut ties with everyone else. I'm usually a law-abiding citizen and wonder whether I was an a-hole for leaving my family behind. So, am I the a-hole? It's insane to me that a judge would rule that way given the circumstances. I do feel bad for the kids, though, as they had no control of the situation. OP's ex-wife essentially committed fraud by deceiving OP into believing the children were his. And a judge has doubled down on her bad behavior by forcing OP to remain financially responsible. If she needs child support, she should go and get it from the fathers of her children. And now let's hear the community's opinion. Vivid Rent says, "Not the a-hole. She cheated and the babies aren't yours. Sucks for you and them, but it's her fault." Tata Z says, "Not the a-hole. In kids' best interest, she should find their fathers and charge them. I'd judge you a-hole if you had actually raised the kids to an older age. I consider my stepfather to be my real dad, and I'm all for parents are the ones who raised you. But a 4-year-old may not even remember you when they grow up." Nope111 says, "I can't imagine how much this hurt, but do you really not care for these children? Did you really stop loving them? Maybe you need therapy to work through your anger." My ex-wife and I had been married for 3 years before we got divorced, after I found out she had been unfaithful while pregnant with our daughter. I've had DNA tests. She is mine. For her baby shower, my great-aunt gave her a diamond pendant that has been in our family for a few generations. It was meant to be given to our daughter once she got old enough to wear it. My wife fell in love with it and began wearing it, saying that she would give it to our daughter when the time came. I got full custody of our daughter in the divorce, so my ex-wife moved out of the house. I noticed that she wanted to take the diamond pendant with her, and I said no. The pendant was meant for our daughter, and it will go in her jewelry box with the other jewelry she's been gifted, but can't wear yet. My ex-wife got extremely upset by this and said that I'm insulting her by not trusting her to give it to our daughter when the time comes. I believe it's a family heirloom and should stay in the family. She says that she's still our daughter's mother, and she still has my last name, so she's still my family. She also said that since it was a gift at her baby shower, it was given to her, and she has the right to do what she wants with it. I don't know if I'm in the right here, or if I'm being vindictive, because I still have some anger over her infidelity. The idea of her wearing the pendant that my great-grandmother wore on her wedding day makes me sick. I know it was given as a gift for her baby shower, but it wasn't given for her. It was given for safekeeping until our daughter is old enough. Since she's no longer a primary caretaker of our daughter, I don't think she should be the one to keep the necklace. Am I the a-hole for not letting my ex-wife keep the necklace? I don't think OP is in the wrong here. The gift was given at her baby shower, but like all the gifts I'm sure she got, clothes, bottles, etc., it was not meant for her. It was meant for the baby. Typical Management 680 says, Not the a-hole. She really shouldn't be throwing the word trust around. She's certainly given ample reason for you not to trust her word. Throw out 4789 says, not the a-hole. She hasn't proven herself to be trustworthy, so I wouldn't give it to her. She might end up selling it if it's valuable. HBIBTC says, not the a-hole. How could she expect trust when she broke it by being unfaithful? Plus, there's no guarantee your relationship with her is going to be good years down the road. Keep it close to you and never take your eyes off of it. If she really wants it that bad, she'll probably try to take it. See, Dad always had a ton of money. He's not super rich. He won't own a yacht anytime soon, but he could be considered wealthy. My mom and stepdad are more middle class, upper middle class, but still middle. When I was 13 and my little bro was 7, Dad decided we were big enough to go to Disneyland. The trip would be him, myself, little bro and his sister, my beautiful Auntie Annabelle. This would be on the latter middle half of our summer vacation, which was his assigned time per divorce agreements. But because taking 2 children out of the country and into the USA is not an easy deal, he started the paper back with months of advantage and told my mom as he needed her help with some documents. Enter evil stepdad. I have a half-brother who was 3 when this happened, and when my stepdad found out about the vacation, he decided little half-bro should be included in the trip. Dad has always tried to be fair to my half-bro, sending small gifts during Christmas and his birthday, because he knew that seeing his older siblings get fancy things could bring trouble. But one thing is a gift, and another is a whole vacation. So when my mom asked if he could take stepbro with us, he said no. Then my mom and stepdad offered to pay for some of the money, but Dad still refused. After all, taking care of a 3-year-old is not easy, and taking a kid that was not his own out of the country was a risk he was not willing to take. While Mom kind of understood, my stepdad was relentless. During the whole process, he tried to guilt-trip Dad, then guilt-trip Mom, then guilt-trip me and my brother about how it was unfair that half-bro was not coming and how this would scar him for life. When this didn't work, he even tried to convince my mom to not sign the papers that would allow my brother and I to leave the country unless Dad took my half-bro. But after a very threatening call from Auntie Annabelle, he shut up. Think this over, my friends. Stepdad still had a secret little petty plan. If he could not convince us, maybe little half-brother could. He started telling him about all the great things his older siblings were going to do in the magical Disney. But we would not invite him because we were mean. This obviously ended in 3 full months of tantrums, crying and whatnot, every time half-bro was reminded of our trip. He would literally throw his toys at me when I went too close to him. By the way, who made Max steal toys so hard? And would directly hit my brother with his baby fists. But there's something missing from all the mayhem, isn't it? Obviously, Dad wasn't aware of this because he didn't live with us. So my stepdad sent him some photos of my half-bro's episodes. Think this is not weird enough? We are not speaking of cell pics. He actually took the time out and used his semi-professional Canon camera to take photos of his crying son. Then he loaded them to a computer and sent them via mail to my dad. Sadly for him, the plan backfired and my dad told him there was even less of a chance he would take my half-bro, knowing he had that attitude. Thanks, Karma. In the end, we had our vacation without half-bro, and he found forgiveness in his heart after I brought him back a backpack full of souvenirs and toys. I didn't bring back gifts for my stepdad, though, as my own petty little revenge for the 3 months of tantrum hell he caused. Technomaj1 says, a 3-year-old wouldn't remember Disney anyway. I remember some, but not all of the trip we took when I was 5. I wouldn't take a younger child and expect them to remember it. MeMeadler83 says, it blows my mind that a parent would be willing to upset and traumatize their own child to make a point. That's sick, truly. My in-laws are very conservative and very much disagree with any form of PDA, public display of affection. They have a very cold and traditional marriage that I honestly pity. They sleep separately and hold rigidly to traditional gender roles. There's also a long history of unfaithfulness on his side, secretary, strippers, etc., that got swept under the rug due to that just being how men are. I myself was sent to a religious school and not taught anything about or relationships, which caused a lot of difficulty for me in my youth. My husband and I wanted a different kind of marriage and also decided to use very different parenting methods with our children. We raised our kids in an S-positive home and feel very strongly that this is giving them the best advantage possible. A lot of research and discussions with therapists were done about this from an early age. My daughter has recently fallen in love with a wonderful young man and started to bring him around to meet the family. A couple of weeks ago at a family barbecue, she was caught holding hands with her boyfriend on her way into their house. And then while sitting outside with everyone, he put his arm around her. Cue the drama. My in-laws are both furious and demand that I put a stop to this, as it is inappropriate and she should not be allowed to be alone with this guy. I refused on the grounds that they have no issue with my son doing the same thing with his girlfriend, and he's younger, or my husband and I doing that either. But apparently, it's different for boys, and it's the family's job to protect daughters. I told them kick rocks, and that they get zero say in what my daughter does with her body. My sister-in-law thinks that I should have just told them to tone it down around them, but I refuse unless the boys are held to the same standard. Queen Guinevere Kitten says, "Not the a-hole. You are protecting your daughter from them." Silly Bird says, "Not the a-hole. They're your kids to raise how you see fit. Your daughter and her boyfriend were not being in any way disrespectful. It is gross that they have double standards for boys versus girls."